All right. Those
Happy Sunday.
Lakers. Happy Sunday, and welcome to the Hoops Rehab Show with your host, the Game Injury Doc, and my guy Eric B. Mack on my right. What a game, though, right? Off the bat.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Happy Sunday. We're on a little early,
Yeah,
which is kind of nice, actually. Kind of nice instead
yeah,
of the last couple of nights. The Laker games ended pretty late, so
yeah,
it was
yeah,
late
for
nights
sure.
for us. But happy to be here. Obviously, huge
Yep.
win, which I know we'll get into. Four more to go.
Yeah, there we go. If you guys don't already, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube at the Game Injury Doc and at Eric B. Mack. We love your continued support on our journey with this show, where we're going to talk
Absolutely.
hoops
Thank
all
you.
day. We're gonna be talking about those Lakers, and then we're also going to get into just the rest of the NBA and anything going around during that day. But first, got to get into these explosive Lakers at OKC. What'd you see, Eric?
Wow, I must say I'm obviously surprised. I was a little pessimistic coming into it. I mean, I thought they had a good chance, obviously, to win it,
Yeah,
but I don't know if there was one of the two that I thought they might get. It would be Tuesday, and now shoot, hey, you may as well we'll try to get both, right? Since you got the first one, so
yeah,
it was an explosive game. We'll get into the stats a little bit. Obviously, Lakers just shot the hell out of the ball.
yeah,
They were completely on fire in the first half, especially. They made 15 of their first 23 pointers. And then
yeah. That was
anytime you do that to start a game, start the first half, you're obviously going to build the big lead. And kudos to the Lakers for holding on to that lead, because the whole time I was thinking, man, when is this going to crack? When is
yeah,
OKC going to make that little mini run and get it down to 12? Apply some pressure, apply pressure on the Lakers. That never came, thankfully, and Lakers got it done.
yeah, man. What a record on the season high, 22 threes, 22 out of 40. So that's a
Yeah,
pretty damn good shooting night for the Lakers. AR has continued his hot streak by getting hot in the fourth, basically the end of the third, fourth of the Warriors game, where he made 9 threes that game, but he has 19 threes in 3 games. So it's a good time to be hot, like the way the Lakers are tonight, and for AR to continue his prowess at the 3-point line right now. So
yeah,
good to see.
yeah. Good to see. It's funny because on Thursday, right, the game against Warriors, I think we may even touched on that. You kind of like he got hot right at the end of the game, and at that point, you're like, eh. I mean, it was cute and all, but it really didn't impact the game as much.
Yeah,
But it's interesting how one game could lead to the next, which could lead to the next. So him, as you just
yeah,
mentioned, him getting in, going on that heater, and obviously starting to get into a groove right now, it really has
yeah.
carried over.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah. So it's like, when you're in your shot's a little off or anything happens, you just kind of see it go through the rim. Even when you're down by a bunch of buckets at that point, nothing's better for a shooter, right? And AR has kind of proven that he can shoot the three ball. The good thing about him is he can create his own. He can create his own shot from three, or kind of like how Luka does. He has a great step back, or he can do the catch and shot or catch and shoot. So he has a pretty good ability to knock down the open jumper, which we love about our third. I mean, you could say superstar, but our third star, Austin
Absolutely.
Reeves, there, who's just had a tremendous season, and could be in the running for that most improved player, as we talked
Vote
about
for
earlier.
Austin. Vote for Austin, as we talked,
There
as you
you go.
guys saw in the last show, right?
Yeah. So
But
yeah, man, it was good to see. I mean, I was going into the game, right. You got 2 games against OKC, and it's always good to try to get the first one right, because they lose that first one, they kind of lose the confidence. You got to stay in OKC the whole time, and I don't think many people want to be in Oklahoma City. No, no disrespect if we got some listeners out in Oklahoma City,
none at
but
all, I promise.
I'm sure the LA based team would probably try to. They lost the first game, they would probably want to get out of there, right? So good momentum for them to be confident, get the win, and see what they can do on Tuesday night against this OKC squad, who has now lost 2 games in a row, which I think they've only done once all year. So that's pretty good to see.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely. Like, if they would have lost today, we would have heard nothing but just obviously negativity from the media
Hmm.
these next couple
Hmm.
days. And I don't know. Sometimes that's not always a bad thing because I think we're going to hear the opposite now. And what I
Yeah.
ask of you Laker fans, and I've been seeing it all over YouTube and Twitter: Lakers in 4, Lakers in 5. Slow down,
Uh,
relax. Just
well,
how if like they had like bad loss and
yeah,
we go all crazy over a loss,
yeah.
let's relax. But what were we gonna say, Doc?
What does Shannon Sharp say? He'll
Oh,
say uh,
KFC.
SGA, KFC, USA, Lakers in 5.
Oh
So I
wow.
know
Okay.
you guys are
Is
going to
that
get
what you're saying,
excited.
Doc?
I know,
Is that what,
I'm.
or was
We
that
all
Houston?
know there's some teams that I will say Lakers in 5 about, and one of them is those Houston Rockets. However, let's not get too confident here. I feel you on that one. Sometimes we get a little overzealous. We get a little excited about our team's success, and when they have a game like this. But
Absolutely.
it is important because we are
Mm-hmm.
going to have to probably see them in the playoffs. I mean, there's
Yep.
no doubt about it that the West is going to go through OKC, and to be able to prove that you can play them, you can beat them. You can also run them out of the gym like they did today is super super important. Again, they've been having success with that small ball lineup for the Lakers. It also just depends on matchups, like what teams do it. But they're doing really well. Rui was back. Like I always say, anytime the Lakers have Rui, it's like a total different team. So I think when we didn't have Rui, it's been just like offensively, we just don't flow as well. He gives you that fourth, fifth option, whatever you want to call it, especially from the 3 point line,
Yep.
where he can take advantage of that, take advantage of his game, which I think is super important there.
Yeah, Rui had a hit a big couple big threes during that
Yeah.
onslaught. Got 11 points and and let 7 rebounds. So not only the stats, but just his presence out there. Lakers are a better team with him there, no doubt. And
Yeah.
so, with one more back to back come in, I'm going to pose a question in a bit about kind of a
Yes.
scenario to you in a bit about Tuesday's game. But first, I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about OKC, just their strategy that I was seeing. Oh, and
Yeah.
before that, guess how many free throw attempts Shea Gilgis Alexander SGA has shot in his last 2 games?
I figure based on that question, if I didn't look right now, it's very low. So I'm assuming one. Oh, just one. Okay. So
Yeah,
the ref,
zero.
you mean the all this talk about the refs giving him a lot of fouls is that happening in the last 2 games,
Yeah, it's
or is
interesting.
it
Right.
or anybody doing anything different?
Yeah, it's a good question. That's what I was wondering: is are the refs
Yeah,
are they getting to the refs, the folks that have been saying it,
yeah,
or is it just just random that it's happened, that it's just a
yeah.
coincidence? But he didn't shoot any free throw attempts today. Actually, he did get fouled and was going to shoot free throw attempts, but
Yeah.
JJ challenged the call,
Okay.
and he went up, and Luca got called for the foul, but he actually had kicked his feet up. And so
So they
that's
called.
they called, and that's one of the things like that's been said is that the way he draws fouls is kind of crafty. So they kind of got him there,
Yeah.
but look, I
I,
mean, no free throw attempts from him, and look what's happened in the last 2 games.
yeah. I mean, I think we have 2 players on our team that are some of the best at getting free throws. Right. Obviously, Luca knows how to get a foul drawn, and Austin Reeves is pretty much as good as it gets with getting a foul
Yeah,
call. So
100%.
we know about that. I understand that when fans kind of get upset when they see other
Yeah,
plays doing this. But you got to understand it is a skill. I mean, James Harden perfected the skill for a long time of getting to the free throw line with based on how he moves his body, how he pump fakes, how he shifts his body to get it under somebody. And so they've done it for a long time. And I think all great players know how to get the free throw line. So I would never, I know there's that chatter where he gets all these calls, but SGA is a hell of a player. He's super crafty, knows how to score. So you're going to get the free throw line when you do that.
MVPs get those calls, right?
Who
We'll,
you
we'll,
going
we'll talk.
MVP?
we'll talk about that in a bit. But
Okay.
what I wanted to say though is before we forget. So yeah, I was taking a look at OKC today, and I feel if you got to hit the open jumper because they
Yeah.
are suffocating defensively. So they are the
Yeah.
best defensive team in the league. And if
Hmm.
you watch, if they're not doing a full court press, which of course they're not doing it all game, but they do sprinkle it in, a
Yeah.
half court press like almost every possession. And
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like Hartenstein he'll rush the guy that whoever's got the ball, like
Yeah.
when they cross midcourt,
Yeah.
and it just really causes havoc. Obviously, when
Yeah.
you have Dort, Caruso, SGA, all those guys are like top-notch defenders. But credit to the Lakers, they didn't really check how many turnovers they had. They must have not had a lot. I know that's probably what OKC is kind of hoping for. But
Yeah.
credit to the Lakers, they were finding the open man, and obviously credit to the Lakers as well as they were hitting their shots. And I could see if you have one of those off nights shooting, it's going to be tough to beat a team like OKC. So I don't know if that's something that you saw as well.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If the Lakers, if anytime you're off, right, it's going to be a struggle offensively. But I feel like OKC reminds me of a college style type of defense. I
Yeah.
believe their coach is from Florida, right? Mark Daigneault. Let's see, where did he? Pretty sure he coached at Florida, like with Billy Donovan and things like that. It could be wrong.
Thought so, yeah, because
Uh,
Billy must have took him over there when he
yeah,
became coach, right? If I'm, that's a good.
yeah.
Honestly,
So he was
I don't
a he
want.
was a he was a lead assistant with Florida, and it just reminds me of how Billy Donovan's teams were at Florida as far as what they do with defense.
Right.
And so, like, I think that they bring that kind of style. They have the guys to do it, the younger, kind of athletic guys to play a defensive style that way, where you're going to be pressing more. You know, you can do some full court press, you can do some half court press, which is dangerous, right? Because you don't usually see that in the NBA. I think I wouldn't say teams are more laid back, but it's just one of those things where just college game is totally different than the NBA game.
Yep.
But some of these teams are leaning towards these college guys, right? That kind of come in and are able to adjust their schemes to an NBA scheme. So it might seem like a college scheme, but it just labeled a little differently in the NBA, right? So I think they do a
Mm.
good job for sure of creating some havoc on defense, and like you said, just swarming and trapping, and they have those athletic bigs that can do it, like Hartenstein and Caruso. I mean, we all know how we feel about Caruso.
Mm.
Um, and Dort is obviously a hell of a defender, and SGA is a hell of a defender too. So they have like nothing but defenders on their team, or two-way
Yep.
players too. And so I think they're good. That's where they're gonna succeed in the playoffs with that, and that's kind of where everything lies for them. So it's good to
Yeah.
see us exploit it, but it's not going to be. You're not making 22 threes every game against them,
Exactly.
right? So if you're not making the open three, what do you do differently against this type of defense? Will be the question moving forward.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. That's great insight. Didn't really think of that. Didn't realize that he had come from Florida. And yeah.
Yeah,
Now that I think of it, it is a college style, and obviously not every team can do it because not every team is so young like OKC. Where
yeah.
there's teams if they did that all year, you'd run them to the ground.
Oh,
And
for sure.
so,
Yeah,
like their length, their obviously athleticism, their age is really allows them to do that, and they're pretty efficient. I was looking at actually like circling back to the turnovers I mentioned.
yeah.
Lakers actually had 17 turnovers, and OKC only had
Got it.
7. So they're
Okay.
pretty efficient with the ball. It's just like I said, Lakers were super hot, but hey, just like I would take the Pelicans win on Friday, you got to take this one as well, obviously, right? I don't
Oh,
even care
100%.
how you got
Yeah,
it done. Just needed to get it
yeah.
done, and they did. So,
So wins a win, and this one looked pretty good. So we'll take those 2 wins. When we talked about, because we had 5 games remaining today, right? And when we talked about those 6 games remaining, trying to go 5-1 or 4-2, and so far we're 2-0 in that slate right there.
yep.
So we just got to keep that momentum up, at least get 2 more wins and possibly 3 more wins out of these next 4 games. So excited to see the team actually come out today, especially on a front end of these matchups.
Yeah, absolutely. To go, I think you guys probably saw my tweet, and we talked about it last show. So for
Yeah,
the last 4, which we'll get into a little later in the show, Lakers, if they go 3-1, they will finish no worse than third.
Okay.
So third in
3-1.
seedings, and we know what that means, right? With becoming first, second, or third seed. So,
Oh yeah.
so
Okay, so that's good. So we already know that for sure. 3-1 right now. So let's just focus on those 4 games. You obviously got to go game by game,
yep,
but in the grand scheme of things, the top 3 seed is super important. We all know Eric B. Matt has told us every episode, at least the past 4 episodes, how
mm-hmm.
important that stat is. So 76 out of 78 champions have been a top 3 seed. So
Yep,
Lakers, you need at least that 3 seed, and we'll leave it at that.
absolutely. So, I know we teased it a little bit, but
Yep.
I teased SGA possibly winning his first ever MVP. And I know you're here today to make a stance for someone, and obviously it wouldn't be a surprise, and I don't think anybody could throw a fit if it happened. But
Yeah.
what's Joker been doing out there? I know he's 3 out of 4 years he's been MVP.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a
Jokic.
lot of. It's hard to vote for him because there's voter fatigue, right? And we're gonna, what SGA is doing this year is amazing. But I'm gonna give you guys some numbers right now. I sent this tweet out yesterday. I might send it again today, but Nikola Jokic is averaging his most points in his career this year at 29.8.
Wow.
He has the most assists in his career at 10.2, most steals of his career at 1.8. He's shooting his best 3-point percentage at 42%. He's playing the most minutes he's ever done in his career at 36.7. And he's averaging a triple double on the season as a center. Okay, so all the MVPs he's already won, he never averaged a triple double. Okay, I mean, he was close, but it wasn't technically a triple double. And we all know who's averages a triple double in this league. We got OKC's guy, Russell Westbrook, who won MVP as a, was it a 7th or 8th seed? Where were they
Yeah.
at that point?
6 seed. They're the 6
Sixth seed.
seed.
Okay, 6th seed right
Yeah.
there. And then we got Oscar Robinson, who won. Well, he didn't win anything, but he averaged a triple double in 1961 and 62. He did not win the MVP that year, right? He
Really?
won. He won an MVP in 63 and 64.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
I just want you guys to understand some stats here. In the year that Oscar Robinson averaged a triple double, Bill Russell won the MVP. It was his
Wow.
third consecutive that we were
Was it,
talking about,
taking a look
or at least his
here?
third one, I think, at that time. He
Yeah, he
averaged,
won 3 in a row during that stretch. Yep.
yeah, in that stretch there. He averaged 18.9 and 23.6 boards, right?
Okay.
And so
Okay.
you
I
can
mean,
talk about rebounds and points are totally off at that
dominance.
point.
Yeah.
Number 2 was Wilt Chamberlain.
What did he get? What did he average? I want to know.
He averaged 50.4 points and 25.7 rebounds,
Are you
and he
kidding
came
me?
in second place.
Oh my God.
I mean, that's not even fair,
That's
right?
crazy.
Then you
Yeah.
got Oscar coming
Insane
in
numbers.
at third place, averaging 30, 12, and 11, which is insane to average it during that time. Elgin
Wow.
Baylor was your fourth runner-up here, and he
Phenomenal
averaged
player.
38.3 and 18.6 boards. Okay. And then Jerry West kind of rounds that up and was averaging like 37 and 5, right? So you had a hell of a group there of
Elgin
players
Baylor.
that
Jesus.
Elgin Baylor. I mean, the Wilt Chamberlain number is just so ridiculous. I remember reading that stat when I was a kid. In I think it was like the NBA historian book or whatnot. It kind of gave all the NBA accolades and awards and things like that. And I was like, if you average 50 and 25 boards, I mean, like, that's insane and probably will never, ever, 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 ever be broken. But so that shows you that Oscar Robinson did not win an MVP that year by averaging triple double. So, I mean, it has been done where if you average triple double, you might not get the MVP. But
Right.
based on, I know we're going to have voter fatigue, but literally Joker is averaging a career on everything. And his team is still a top 5 team in the West right now.
Yeah,
So in
100%.
my opinion, I love what SGA is doing, but I'm gonna have to roll with Joker on this. I don't really get into that voter fatigue and voter, all that stuff, or recency bias. If you got players that haven't got it before and all that stuff. But if I had a vote in this, it'd be for the Joker.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, if he were to win it, it wouldn't be like the hugest surprise ever. Obviously, he's like the numbers don't lie. I think a couple of
Yeah,
things are going against him a bit. So obviously, like somebody has won, like obviously Russell Westbrook. He was the as you mentioned, he averaged a triple double and he won the MVP.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
if Joker was the first one since Oscar Robinson to do it, I
Hmm.
think he'd have like even
Yeah.
more of a case. So there's a little bit of that, and of course that's not his fault. I mean, he's a
He's a
60 center.
center.
He's a center. Yep, I know, and it's not even
Yeah.
with blocks, right? Which would be crazy as well. But
Oh
but
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
yeah. But and then I think that, and then obviously, like as you mentioned a few times, that voter fatigue. It happens all the time, and
yeah, for
so
sure.
it happened to LeBron. It's happened to MJ,
Yeah,
and I think like it happens often too, where you look and you say, how can like someone be MVP or not be MVP, and they have better numbers the year they were the MVP? And I think sometimes it just
yeah,
happens like there. Somebody was comparing like LeBron's MVPs of
yeah,
2009 and 10 and 11 and
yeah,
12, and they showed like Joker stats, and Joker was like when he won the MVP, and Joker won like every single category, and they're like, and this is obviously LeBron when he's like peak LeBron.
Pete.
And so
Yeah,
I think like sometimes like the stats are huge and they're very important, but they don't tell the whole story. But SGA obviously today is probably not the best day to be ahead of his campaign because of how OKC looked tonight. But
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
a totality of the season. He's averaging 32.6 points a game, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. He's on the number one team in the
yeah,
NBA
for sure.
record wise. I did a little bit of research, pretty much, and kind of similar to the championship teams. You have to be typically a top 1, 2, or 3 seed to have consideration.
Yeah,
And Denver still could be that, right? So I think there was about 6 players that have won MVP. Funny thing is, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won MVP without even the Bucks making the playoffs, which is crazy. We'll
oh wow.
probably never ever see that again.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to think who the hell was playing during that year that didn't make it, that didn't win it.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I also am gonna talk a little bit about some advanced defensive stats. And so, according to NBA.com, defensive rating SGA is number 5 in the NBA. And
yeah.
I'll be honest, I looked at the top 200. I didn't see Joker on there. Um, so
Okay, okay.
but I get it. That's not the end and be all. That's not his
Yeah,
game. But he
yeah,
does pose a force because he's a
yeah,
big ass dude, and it's obviously hard to get around him. But
yeah,
it's crazy. OKC has 5 in the top 10. We were talking a little earlier about their defense in terms of advanced stats, and that's that whole cybermetric, obviously an analytical. They take a lot of different stats and kind of piece it together.
yeah,
So I think like SGA has like proven being on the best player on the best team and the best defender, averaging the most points. That he's well deserving. I think last year he could have even had an opportunity. Right, they finished first in the West. He averaged 30, and I think it's kind of one of those things, kind of like when Embiid, like there was one year that he probably should have perhaps won it, but they gave it
yeah.
to the Joker, and then they gave it to him a year that maybe Joker should have won it. So I kind of see it similar to that. I think we can make a case for either of the two, but if I had to vote, I'd have to vote for Shea Gilgeous Alexander in this one.
Yeah, in all reality, you can't really go wrong with either of the two. I would say that SGA, his defensive ability is going to put him up there, based on that, because of how important that is to his OKC Thunder, right? So his ability
Yeah,
to play defense, play both ways, and be the leading scorer in the league, I think, yeah, it totally makes sense. Um, Yeah, I mean, and
We'll
Joker
see.
won back-to-back MVPs, and then Embiid won, right? And then he
Right.
won again.
Yep.
So and then he basically won 3 out of 4 there. And then if he were to win another one, it'd be 4 out of 5 years.
That'd be ridiculous.
Which
But
is kind of insane peak. I mean, talk about
yeah.
somebody being in their prime or peak or whatever you want to call it. His is just absolutely insane this past 5 years, what he's been able to do. So it could be either person. I just kind of we both threw out some stats there, and if anybody is currently watching this and thinks if there's anybody else you want to put into the race of the MVP race, please let us know in the comments. Or what are your thoughts on whether or not it's SGA or Joker? Let us know. We'll kind of answer that towards the end of the show.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. What do you guys think? I mean, I know there's Donovan Mitchell. Like speaking of like teams with high in the standings, best record in the East, and it's just I feel like for Boston, and I don't know what it is, but just Tatum and Brown, they probably.
I was about to say,
it's. I don't know if he's ever going to win one. Tatum, I think he's like their best player, but they kind of take votes away from each other a little bit when you have two just equally important players to a team. So that's just interesting.
Yeah, I was just funny because you read my mind. I'm just like, is there going to be a time where Tatum actually can get an MVP, or is it just a matter of he's not an MVP type of player? Like, I feel like he is, or is it more just that he has Jaylen Brown on the roster, which kind of balances things out ish, right? Like as far as how much he can score, how much he kind of takes over a game, things like that. But even there's 1 year he averaged 30. Right?
I know. I was just looking at that. It's crazy.
I'm assuming Joker won that year. Well, of course, right?
Yeah,
so it's like, I mean, he's averaged 26 since 2020, right? 26 and above, right? So I mean, obviously he's a great player. He's on a championship team. I just don't think he absolutely gets the recognition all the time either. And I'm sure we'll get into like more debates towards the end of the season about like first team NBA, second team NBA, and like who kind of belongs there. But it's interesting that I don't think he gets the same love, especially from the media, from a conversation of the NBA, right? You never hear Tatum being the face of the league. Like I don't think I've heard that once. Like if it was me, I could never put Ant over Jason Tatum as the face of the league. I love what Ant does. I love what Anthony Edwards does. But like to me, Tatum right now, I would take Tatum over Anthony Edwards pretty much every time. Right? Like he's a hell of a player. I just don't. I don't particularly know why he doesn't get any love from the NBA, or at least from the media wise. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like you can't say we're just talking about numbers, right? You can't say it's the numbers that's not doing it because the guy basically the last 2 seasons he's averaging 27 and 8. Like you said the year before, 30 and 9. I'm talking rebounds.
Yeah.
And I think what ends up happening is like the first quarter of the year, because I mean obviously the media is the one that votes for this, so there's like a narrative built on who's the MVP, and then it's kind of that person. It's up to them for them to win it or lose it, right?
Yeah.
And they'll look at the best 1 or 2 teams, which Boston's always up there, and like you're right, for whatever reason, he's kind of like playing second fiddle to the MVP race, and he'll probably be like top 5 or 6 or something like that, I think. And I'm sure he had. I didn't look, and I'm sure he has been. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if 1 year he just kind of gets that MVP, right? It happens, Kobe Bryant only won 1 MVP, which is crazy.
Yes, that's what I was kind of like. To me,
Shaq won 2, I think.
Shaq won 2, but to me, that's what I was going to compare him to. Like I felt like it was like he's getting a little bit of the Kobe Bryant. Even the Kobe was well known and very international and very much a face of the NBA. But I feel like MVP wise, like because he had Shaq or he had Powell, it was kind of difficult for him to win MVP during his time.
Shaq only won it once, actually.
Oh, so he was once. Okay.
Yeah, with the Lakers. So, I thought he maybe won with Miami that first year, but no, I guess not. I think of Steve Nash. That's what it was. Remember, it was a Steve Nash versus Shaq
Yeah,
argument.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
right. That's
yeah.
right. That's
And I think Nash was averaging like 19 points or something like that.
right. Yeah,
I think it was
he
like
just
one of the lowest kind of MVPs out there. So
yeah.
yeah, it's interesting, man. Um, but we'll see as the end of the season kind of comes near.
Yep. We'll find out probably usually around the second round of the playoffs who ends up
Yep.
winning it. But obviously the favorite is SGA. But we'll see. We'll see how
Yeah,
things shape up here. Denver's been
for
struggling a
sure.
little bit too. Definitely not Joker's
Yeah.
fault. They're just not healthy.
Yep.
But it all plays a part. So we shall see.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into a little bit of the scores today. I know we're on earlier, so we got some games that are going to happen in a little while.
Yep.
But as of right now, how are we looking in the standings? Today was a big win for the Lakers, so we've kind of at least we're still in that nice third spot there at 48 and 30, with the game above Denver, and we also own the tiebreaker, right? So, what's your thoughts on the scores? Kind of what's going around in the league today?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously some games that really don't mean much, but the two that mean a lot to Laker fans at least, or the Lakers, will be Pacers and Nuggets, and the Rockets and Warriors. So
Yep.
it's interesting now with this Laker win. I'm gonna just take a look at something. It's like, it's a tale of two thoughts. Like, do you want Houston to perhaps beat Golden State to kind of get a little bit of a cushion, or
Yeah.
do you have that number 2 seed there still in our minds and hearts?
Yeah.
Realistically, we would have to probably win out.
Yeah.
So that's only 4 games, but we'd have to win out to
Yeah.
even have a chance. And
Yeah.
basically, Houston, so 3 in the lost column. If we tie them, so Houston could win one more because if they have to get 3 losses, yeah, they could
Yeah.
win.
So they can only be at 52. We can only get a max of 52 wins, right? So,
Yeah,
and then I'm assuming we do own the tiebreaker over Houston, right? I think we talked about that.
yeah, they play one more
Or
game, so the winner of that gets a
oh, so we would have
tiebreaker.
to win that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, which they
Yeah.
obviously have to win it to even catch them. So it's
Totally.
so yeah. So
Totally.
what are your thoughts on that? Like, are you thinking, hey, let's have Houston lose and let's go for that too, or you're like, man, let's have maybe Houston not have anything to play for when we play them on Friday? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, Golden State right now is seems like one of the hottest teams in the league, right? So I could see them winning that game, right? I think from the Lakers standpoint, all you can do is control what you do, right? So if
Yep.
you just win out, you put the pressure on the Rockets, right? So if I would personally probably want to see the Warriors win tonight, which kind of at least going into the next game for the Lakers, you get an idea of like, hey, we could possibly catch these Rockets. Based on how bad their schedule was down the stretch we talked about. I know they got
Yep.
to win against OKC, right? That was the first one that we thought, but it was to me, it was like 5 games of just like nonstop competitive teams.
Yeah.
And I was possibly thinking they could go 1-4. Is not like a reach for them in those games. They're probably a better team than I put them up there as. But in general, like I would probably want to see us try to challenge that second seed. And then also just if they're in that mindset of challenging for the second seed, I think we cannot lose the third seed. You know what I mean? So if they're like,
Exactly.
all right, we got to go, we're trying to go after the Rockets. We saw the Rockets lose tonight. We got another game on Tuesday. Then that mindset will at least get them the third seed, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
would rather go with that.
100%.
Um, I, I mean, to me, you want the Warriors to stay in that 4 or 5 somewhere, and then for the Lakers to get at least a 2 or 3, and that way, so we can stay on that side of the bracket and allow the Warriors and Denver and all them and OKC to beat up on each other, while we kind of can play, whoever will be the 6 or 7 seed, and kind of get what do you say, the Rockets in, maybe the second round possibly, or whoever wins that type of matchup. So, in my
Good,
opinion, if
good point.
we can keep it with that, that would be nice.
Yeah, no, good point. Because very well said. Because if obviously whatever, it doesn't really matter what we want. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But with the Warriors loss, like shoot, they're kind of pushed back to the 6-7. and we all want the Lakers to get that 3, but if Warriors get the 6, oh my God, right? So, and we can't control that,
Oh yeah,
right? We can only
yeah,
get up to as far as we can, and we can't control who our opponent's going to be. But
totally.
it is
Yeah.
true. I was just like thinking like, okay, it'd be nice. Like Warriors have been on such a heater. It'd be nice for them to lose a game and then give us a little bit of cushion, like on them in case we face each other. I would hate to face them and them have home court, obviously. Like, say, for example, if it was a 5-4 matchup. But yeah, I mean, shoot, like you said, if Lakers are on that mindset of trying to get that second seed, then
Yep.
that third seed should just happen naturally. And
Yep.
it actually, I mentioned it earlier. I was going to pose a question to you.
Okay.
And so, okay, so we won this first one, and we
Yep.
said, hey, Lakers, if they can get one of the two, we'll take it, right? And they got that back to back against Dallas, which is going to be super important.
Yeah.
My question is, now it all depends on how OKC is going to handle this game. But if OKC plays its starters like they did today, I think it's going to be a different game, obviously. Do you, and I don't want to say mail it in, do you rest guys so that we are completely ready for Wednesday in case you do lose on Tuesday? What are your thoughts on that?
No.
No.
We don't. I don't think we have time to be resting players and not taking like this game serious, because that's what typically what you do. If you do that, you're going to lose that next game. Like, it's like you're
Right.
prepping for, kind of mail it in, prepping for the loss. Now, if you're in a game and you are playing super hard and for some reason they're lights out and they get into the third, fourth quarter, then you just, at that point, yeah, you can rest your players so they're rested for tomorrow or the next day. I mean, so I mean, in my opinion, I still don't think Rui is going to play in the back to back regardless. And LeBron has shown that he's been playing through back to backs. Along with Luca and AR, I think they're all ready to kind of finish off the season with that. I mean, there's no doubt Luca's going to be playing it, right? I mean, we don't have to worry about all
Yeah.
that because he's going back to
No, yeah.
Dallas.
Oh, yeah,
And
100%.
LeBron seems to be okay with his groin, be okay with his foot, ankle. That typically sometimes will start nagging him towards the end of the season. So, in my opinion, I would never mail it in at this point because you are trying to get the second seed or the third seed at least. So you got every game is as important as the next.
Yeah, good thoughts. If your question two, if you know that Rui is going to not play back to back, do you
Yep.
sit him? Do you play? Would you rather play him Wednesday? Just in case. Here's my
That's a
thoughts.
good.
When if
Yeah,
you
I mean
play,
that's a good question. I think the way I look at it is that they have a day off today, right? I mean tomorrow,
yeah,
and then they would play on Tuesday, right? So if Rui plays that game, he is off on Wednesday,
Wednesday.
Thursday, and then Friday will be a game, correct? So I think that right there alone is going to be fine. As far as spreading it out enough, I think they would be fine with that setup.
Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
I was just thinking about that today because I was when I saw that they pretty much had the game in hand. I'm like, but yeah,
Yeah.
like is it a thought? It might be a thought, but like just how they did with that Bucks game, they packed it in, and then they lost that game, of course,
Yep.
and then they ended up starting kind of playing bad basketball. So you never want to mess with the basketball gods, I think too.
Yeah.
But of course, like I'm just thinking, like you get into this like double overtime game, and you're like, you lose it, and you're obviously tired as hell the next day. And so
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
a thought because you have to 100%. You need to obviously need to get both, but you have to get one of the next two. And
Yes.
so it's that one against Dallas. It's going to be emotional, like we talked about.
Yeah.
So just food for thought, and it'll be interesting to see how the
Yeah.
team plays it.
Yeah. Great points. I mean, the Dallas game is going to be super emotional for Luca. So I think at least being at full strength would be important for him, right? During that game, so it's just not all on his shoulders. So I see your points with that, like whether or not you would rest Rui in the first one or play him the second one.
Yep.
Um, and they did beat OKC once, so I can see either scenario happening. I just seen the Lakers, and they haven't typically rested somebody on the first end of a back to
Mm-hmm.
back versus the
Yep.
second. As a medical training team, they just haven't done that yet.
Good
So
point.
We'll see if they change that up or change that strategy. But I could see both ways happening.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see it. And then from OKC side, I mean, I'm sure they want to get into some kind of groove again going into the playoffs. So it's like, yeah, they could sit their players. I think that if they would have won today, they would have thought about it on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But they lost. And again, I mean, the only that I didn't mention is the only thing that there is to play for is technically them and Cleveland are trying to battle for like home court throughout the playoffs. So if that's something important to them, then they'll play their guys. Or it could just be as simple as like, hey, we want to make sure we're starting to get back to what we were doing just last week. And so we got to get our guys in there. So it'll be interesting to see. It's going to be a lot of obviously chatter, and we won't probably know until Tuesday afternoon, obviously. But, nonetheless, big 4 games left, obviously.
Yep. And speaking of those 4 games, right, we got OKC, and then we go back-to-back against Dallas, and then home against Houston right on that Friday, and then finish at Portland on a Sunday afternoon game. So, again, I mean, our thoughts all along when we were talking about 6 games left is they had to go 5-1 and 4-2. So if you look at these 4 games, we've already started off 2-0 there. Yep. So at least 3-1 would be nice to kind of finish off the season, and I think that at least solidifies your 3 seed and possibly gets you the 2nd seed. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, 100%. I think best case scenario, obviously, Lakers win these 3, and if they already locked up to 3, they can rest that last day and have a full 8 or 9 days off between regular season and playoffs. Yep. Or if you go 2-1, most likely that Sunday game is going to be important, whether if it's for the 2 or 3 seed, or at least home court advantage at the 4. So I mean, honestly, yeah, it's 4 big games, tough opponents. In terms of like Dallas, like they got just wally-womped. They got just worked against the Clippers on Friday and Saturday. But it's going to be a different story. There's going to be a lot of adrenaline. They're going to have Sunday, Monday. They're going to have 3 days off in between. So that one will be a tough one. But nonetheless, I mean, Lakers with today's win, I want to say, they're probably obviously they still haven't sealed the deal, but I think they've escaped the play-in. I would imagine. So that's
I think we've gotten to that point at least. And creating some momentum towards the end of the season is excellent for them to kind of go into the playoffs. So,
100%.
Yeah, it's good. Trying to get some questions over here. Let's see. On Instagram, we got Dolph6. Why do I keep rolling my ankle? I'm a college basketball player.
You take that one, Doc.
Is an interesting question because I don't know any of your history. However, it all depends on if you've had a history of sprained ankles. A lot of times, if you've had that history, you just create a little bit of laxity in the ankle, which can create a little bit more movement there. So that would be one thing to make sure, how many ankle sprains you've actually had in the past and all that good stuff. And then also just making sure your hips, your core, and trunk are pretty strong. That's kind of what the Steph Curry solution, which he was able to get his hips, core, everything strong, which would allow him to have less of a chance to kind of sprain his ankles. And he also was wearing a pretty good ankle brace, which is usually recommended if you've had multiple sprains. So if you have any more questions, just let me know. I can always answer any of the kind of the rehab type of questions along with any of your concerns about any of the players as well.
Thanks, my friend. Stay healthy out there.
Yep. Stay healthy out there. So great win by the Lakers. Great way going into the playoffs. And we'll see you all again on what? Tuesday? Doing it again then?
Tuesday. Is that the next? Yeah, I think that'll be
OKC.
Good. Go Lakers. Big W. Let's get it.
Let's go. Hoops Rehab team out. Bye.